I said it. What's going on, guys?
Hey, let's go. Hard hats again. Back to back. One more. Hey, quick math. One more to go here to get to the NBA Finals.
I think you're right.
5 total.
I think you're right.
I like what I see in the
what a game.
I liked what I saw. If I'm a Heat fan, I don't think I can watch any more Heat games if I'm a Heat fan.
That is like first of all,
you got to just put them down at this point.
It was 42 minutes of bad Celtics basketball too.
Oh, it was ugly.
This game took the Celtics turned it on. Remember how how Sherrod always talks about the 5. Sometimes all you need is 5 minutes of a top 5 Tatum.
Yep.
The Celtics played really good. I mean, they did a lot of things defensively, obviously, but they played really well for like a 6-minute stretch. I mean, in the third quarter, and that was the ball game. I mean, they started the third off great too. They got off to the 10-0 run. That was it. Flipped the switch, played one good quarter there, friggin' turned on the Jets, gone. See you later. Unbelievable.
I think just about everybody who watched that game said the same thing. Both teams are playing really badly. If the Celtics just show up, they're going to win this game. Just show up. Just show up to work. Strap on the steel-toe boots and show up. And they did that in the second half. And that was the difference. It's very, very obvious now. If you've been watching this series, it's very obvious that the Celtics are the more talented team in this series. They really should end this series in Game 6 on Friday. I would be pretty surprised if they don't. And part of that has to do with the Celtics are a better team. Part of that has to do with the Heat. Listen, I know the Celtics have their fair share of injuries, but the Heat are not right. They are banged up, man. I mean, whether it's Lowry, whether it's Strus who left the game, something's up with Butler. I don't know what his deal is. These guys are just okay. These guys are just completely.
Yeah, I want Big Jimmy.
These guys are completely like it's the end of the season for them. It's very obvious, and I just think on Friday night the Celtics just have to. They got to put them down. I don't want that to sound harsh, but it's time. Take them out back and just let them get on with their summer.
Yeah, let's bring in Bobby Manning. We see at CLNS Media. We're committed to covering all of the games, and we've traveled to every single game. We strategically took Game 5 off because we said this thing's over in 6. We're not going to bother here. We're just going to skip it, and that's what we did. And Bobby, what'd you think here?
Whew, it was a scary first half because I have never seen a Celtics half, probably in my life, where you were just in perfect position to take this game, and they just couldn't do it. The turnovers kept flowing. The offensive rebounds kept bouncing to the Heat, and you're just sitting there, and Tatum's grabbing the right shoulder going into halftime, and Rob doesn't come out of the locker room, and you're just like, are they really going to lose this? The Heat are shooting 37%. They can't dream of hitting a 3. And you're still gonna lose this game. You're right within the first couple you're right within a couple baskets there, and you can't overcome the hump because Jimmy, we're both watching. It was obvious that they just needed one little run here to put this away. They get to 9 in that third quarter. They come out, to their credit, firing out of halftime. Nice 4 baskets in a row right there, 4 stops in a row. And as much as we're gonna bemoan the Celtics offense, as much as we're just gonna dig into them, rightfully so, for all the turnovers and sloppiness early, that defense, I think that's the biggest story out of this one, with Rob back in the middle, blocking shots in the corners, completely containing Adebayo. This is the team we looked at. This is the defense we looked at starting in late February. I still get the video, John, and said this is a championship team because of this defense.
Oh, that's the clip.
It is just. It's just a historic defense that can't be broken. And the Heat, I think they're damaged. I think that they're in a really bad spot right now, health-wise and just offensively as a whole. But it's more about the Celtics defense right now. What they're doing to protect the rim specifically is incredible right now. And if you're the Warriors watching and you're looking at these two teams and thinking, all right, who we want here, I think you're worried about potentially the Celtics coming in with their entire cast and just being a brutal team to score on. So this series is over. I don't see much left.
He did it. He called it.
This series is over.
I'd be stunned. Even if it goes back to Miami for 7.
You are 0 for 1 declaring a series is over, okay? You're 0 for 1.
Well, let's make it 1-1.
So when you call it, that makes people worried. It's like a Chuck guarantee, like we're a little worried about that.
Yeah.
Well,
let us say it. Let us say it.
I just gotta call it how I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, what encourages you about the Heat right now?
Nothing. So I mean, and the simple fact is this,
it's funny that you said it. Yeah.
I hate saying make miss, blah blah blah, and this and that, and like the biggest reason I have a tough time guessing what this series is going to be is simply because of the injuries. You just don't know who's how hurt, really. Okay, after today, I think you've got a pretty good idea. Kyle Lowry's basically a cripple. Like he can't do. He has no lift at all. Gabe Vincent was 10 times the player he was. So it's not even close. He doesn't belong on the floor at all. He's toughing it out. He's actually hurting them. You can see Rob jogging sometimes. He's not 100% right, but even still, he's making a huge impact on it. Marcus was about 50% speed. Jimmy Butler's not even close. The problem is Miami just doesn't have enough firepower. We said it even with their full lineup that they're going to have a tough time scoring against Celtics offense. They just don't have enough firepower. The Celtics fully healthy both sides. The reason I thought the Celtics would win is just simply they've got the Jays and Miami doesn't. So while Miami can play defense, there's no equivalent to what the Jays can do on the Miami side. When Butler's not right and he has no lift and he can't shoot, is Josue really gone again? Is he gone?
No. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. All right. So I don't want to do that. You can't just do that. He's out.
They're reaching, John. They are. You see,
I gotta take a break too. I'll be right back. You guys go. I'll be right back.
You see Oladipo leading them for stretches.
I got a light problem.
So you know what? Just let me and Bobby handle this for a bit. You guys are too distracting. Bobby, what do you got?
Well, they're reaching, Jimmy, and it's hard for me to look at a team that's reaching. We saw a little bit of this from the Bucks too last round, and it's hard for me to say that they're going to rip off 2 straight wins here from playing Robinson some more, Oladipo. Maybe Hero gets back and gives you something, but you got Ramona Shelburne saying that this is a 2 to 4 week injury he's dealing with. So I just don't know where they go. I mean, they've effectively run out of their options here. They went small in the second half, and you see how Tatum lights that up. I've never been impressed by the Heat, Jimmy, and now that they're banged up, it's even less impressive. And you look at the way Bam's playing; it's really passive. Rob Williams seems to have his number in there, and if all those guys are cold, Lowry, Butler, Bam, and the bench options that they're turning to, there's nothing there.
So I was a little higher on the Heat than you were, but with the injuries, that changes everything. I mean, when you looked at the Heat tonight, Lowry is not himself. Something's up with him, whether he's hurt. I mean, clearly something's up. I don't know if it's injury. I don't know if he's just done, but he's done. Strus left the game, and he's been freaking horrible for them for the past couple of games. He can't hit anything. So those 2 guys right there, I mean, that's some offense that you don't have. Duncan Robinson's on Duncan Robinson. Oladipo's a coward. Oladipo. Something's up with Jimmy Butler. Bam again. I mean,
Bam's a coward.
No-show tonight. What?
Bam is a coward.
Yeah, Bam is a coward. Absolutely. And Tucker, I don't know. He's a little banged up too. So the Heat have nothing left. Not even Eric Spoelstra can get enough out of these guys. I hate to say it, Bobby. I tweeted. I don't know if you saw. I said they looked like you and Josue in pickup out there today. I mean, I felt like I was watching you guys shooting the ball out there. It was just thud.
Yeah, I don't know where
what an unnecessary dig. What an unnecessary dig.
I mean, that's just how I felt. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly, and it's over. I'm with you, Bobby. It's over. I don't know if it should be over Friday.
Max Strus went 0 for 9 and left the game hurt. Bam goes 8 for 15, which you come into this game saying he's going to score 18 and 10. You probably come away happy, but that's just how thin they are right now. That's not even enough. And you get a decent performance from Robinson off the bench. Some of the role guys step in and give you a few shots here or there, but
are you kidding me?
You start 5 at 34 from 3, and you're just not going to have it.
I want to talk about the Celtics now since we've trashed the Heat enough. They're dead. I don't want to talk about the Heat. I want to talk.
Do the Celtics deserve some credit or some blame for keeping this close early with just all the nonsense in that first quarter?
Again, it was an ugly first quarter. It was an ugly first half. I mean, it was almost like bad play was bringing on bad play from each side there. But the way that and I tweeted this at halftime. You know, if either team just decides to play okay, then they should win this game. And especially with the Celtics, they were down 5 at halftime with basically nothing good anyways from Tatum and Brown. And to those guys' credit, they both came out in the second half playing with a purpose. Jaylen Brown had a really, really tough first quarter with the turnovers. It looked like things were going out the rails for him. His comeback in the second half is worth mentioning. He got hot. He got hot in that fourth quarter, stretched out that lead, made it insurmountable for the Heat to come back because they couldn't hit shots. So you got to give Jaylen Brown his props. But same with Tatum. I mean, he went into a first team All NBA mode there late in that second half. And also, Al Horford kind of got them started in the second half. So we got to give Al Horford some credit for sort of
Horford, White, those are the guys
run.
that held them in it.
And Derrick White, Josue, you good? All right, Joe.
Great point, Jimmy. Great point. But go ahead, keep going.
Thank you. I'm glad I brought you in for that. You know what? Thank you. We'll come back to you in a bit. No, Bobby, you mentioned okay, I got it back. You mentioned Derrick White, Bobby. Bobby, you tweeted or you texted us in the beginning. You said Derrick White with another, I think, phenomenal start to this game, but he kept it going for the whole game. I thought he was pretty instrumental in this game.
His screening was great. His finishing was obviously important early. Passing, excellent. Stabilizer on the ball. I thought Horford and Smart gave them a little more in terms of just calming down the offense, but you need the buckets, and he actually made himself a finisher early around the rim, cutting for that and one in the second quarter there, and just a few key stretches in both the first and second quarter where White, it just gives you points. You're starving for points. You score 17 in that first quarter. It's like, can anyone score? And more often than not, it was White. It was Horford going to the free throw line a couple of times. And the frustrating part was that White effectively gave them countless opportunities to hit a roller and make a play from there. White was kind of the screen and roll guy in that first half. But when Bam was getting in the way and reading it, Tatum and Brown just kept throwing it there again and again. And Smart actually staying in the game in that third quarter with 4 fouls after he picked up the quick third and fourth to start that frame was important too, because he wasn't going to make those passes. Like when Bam was stepping in there and about to cut those off, Smart would hold it back and either drive himself or keep it moving there. So the passing got better as the game went on. But yeah, you can't say enough about White and Horford early on, just keeping them close. You said it, Jimmy. 5 at halftime felt like a miracle because you just had so many bad turnovers. You weren't scoring at all, and you were giving up offensive rebounds at a massive rate, 9 in that first half. So luckily the Heat didn't hurt you too much early. Those guys gave you just enough buckets to be in striking distance. Yeah. And once again, you overcome just a horrid start in this series. And really, those starts had kind of been what defined both teams to start this series. So being able to turn it around in game, pretty impressive. It's surprising, right, that we didn't have to wait till game 6 for them to finally fix some of the stuff that went wrong early here. But you save yourself a lot of trouble in this series by getting it done the same night.
Yeah, again,
I was just gonna say that's the thing that would have drove us crazy though, right? Because they had been in this position before. They made this mistake before in their last series against the Bucks. So to see them go down in this one with the kind of things, the way the offense was going and throughout the course of the first half, essentially, you're like, wait, how is this going to work out with the Celtics? Like, how are they going to finally find that momentum that they need? And you know what, Bobby? I love the fact that you bring up Derrick White because this is the kind of game that I thought that he could. This is the kind of production I thought that he could put up the entire series. I thought this was that kind of opponent for him. Those backdoor cuts, attacking the rim. But it took him a while. He finally woke up. But this is exactly the kind of game I thought that he.
This is what they brought him here for, Josue.
This is exactly what they brought him here for. Exactly, the defense, being a playmaker, but also getting those high percentage looks. And you got to give the Celtics credit for that second half approach on offense because they weren't. Settling for shots. The offense wasn't stagnant. They were seeking high percentage shots, and Al Horford had a lot to do with that, man. It was like Al Horford was like, wait a minute. You guys are not going to mess this thing up for me, are you? Like, the way this thing is going, I need at least a 3-2 lead, to feel comfortable about this series because, listen, from the very beginning, Al wasn't there in game 1. Whether he thinks that's his fault or not, I'm sure he feels some type of way about that because of the circumstances. And, 2, he's seen this team make that same kind of mistake. Drop the ball, game 5 opportunity to grab a 3-2 lead like they did against the Bucks. And the Celtics, if they were to do that again, I don't think they survive it. I honestly don't. And you didn't wake up the Heat and making mistakes that they needed you to make because they didn't have it. They were missing open shots again. They couldn't find their offense. It was up to the Celtics to continue to find take advantage of a vulnerable Heat's defense. That's exactly what they were. They were a step behind. Celtics were getting those fouls. They were in the penalty, 4 minutes into that third quarter? And to me, that was the beginning that the Celtics needed to build that big lead going into the fourth quarter.
And huge. I see people calling for a Brown apology cam. I mean, this isn't
it's
the night
same
for that.
guy. He just keeps saying it over and over and over. What apologize for what?
This isn't the night for that. He was completely to blame for the start. Completely. Every time he does the same thing, goes right at Oladipo, and Oladipo's ready to punch it out, and he almost completely derailed them. You go down by double digits there, which they didn't because the Heat couldn't make a shot. Sometimes they actually squandered their transition opportunities, but you can't, especially with the postseason he's been having. Don't you think he's been watching clips, especially within this series, to see what not to do on the ball? And this wasn't a case of being aggressive and letting it slip a few times. He was turning it over before he crossed the free throw line on a lot of these drives.
He was driving into traffic. It didn't make any sense. It was like he was just seeking a foul every time.
He needed to turn it around just to overcome that awful first half. So I guess credit to him for that. But this is not an apology cam night. For what? He was completely to blame.
Rarely is it an apology cam for any player. It needs to be extreme. We tell it like it is. If he has a bad game, we tell it like it is. If he has a good game,
it happened.
Like it is. If he's inconsistent, we tell it like it is. If he has a bad first half, we say it. If he has a good second half, we say it. I don't know if this guy came late. I've already talked about how Jaylen Brown was a huge part of that second half run. Him and Tatum got hot, and they stretched out the lead. And I also said that Al Horford and Derrick White kind of kept him in the game to begin with, because those two players were no-shows in the first half.
Oh, man.
Really negative. So, I mean, what are we apologizing for? That we're not, like, kissing their ass 24/7? I mean, I'm not going to.
I think you guys just need to be.
Jimmy's got
time to be nicer to Jaylen.
He's calling.
You got John.
He was great in the second half, but I don't think he was the story of the second half. Again, your finishers, you need them, but your playmakers were Tatum and Horford, who got in that high post area again and again. Really, I think you brought him up first, Jimmy. Horford, and I think Josue mentioned him as well. Really just instrumental to this victory. Like give and goes, high post touches against the zone, rolls to the rim for free throws, coast-to-coast drive, huge. The story of this game is Horford keeping you in it and then finishing the deal in the second half. Just another incredible effort from him. You can't say enough about the way he's picked up this team through Rob's absence, taking on more minutes. You just saw the fire that he played with. I know you were pointing out at the Garden in Game 4, Josue, the way the crowd was responding to some of his defensive plays in that second half. He's just been absolutely brilliant. And Brown, big credit to him. Finishing, no turnovers in the second half, as you see there.
Yeah, awesome second half.
Yeah, he was great. But I don't think there's an apology cam due.
For what?
We're done talking about that, too. We're done talking about that. But anyways, Bobby, it's like what I said after Game 4, right? The Miami Heat, whether it's scoring or whether it's just overall trying to find his offensive flow, they go as Jimmy Butler guides them. And when he didn't have it, it wasn't going to be Bam Adebayo trying to grab it, right? He doesn't want that kind of responsibility. At least when Rob's out there, he's a different player when Rob's out there, you know? And I can't help but give Rob that credit because it seems like he's looking for a pass almost every other possession when he gets the ball in the paint if Rob's there. And I feel like if Rob's not in this game, it would have made a difference. I felt like Bam Adebayo started to feel comfortable when it was way too late, when he was like, wait a minute, this might fall on my tab. So let me try to pick up the pieces here at the last minute. And it was too little too late. But, you know, that's been the story of this Miami Heat team. You know, even when other guys were still big, having big performances, even when, you know, guys coming off the bench were coming up big, it was Jimmy Butler that was leading things, whether it was in stacking up assists or, you know, having those 40-point performances that he had earlier in the series. But the Celtics needed to take advantage of that. They needed to build that double-digit lead or something close to it going into the fourth quarter to not give these guys any hope. That's exactly what they did. And then they even doubled down on that lead and turned it into a 20-plus, you know, 20-point lead.
Oh, it became 20 in the fourth instant. Quarter.
And it was good. Like, the way they kicked off that fourth quarter, because they felt it, you know, and that's a credit to what the third quarter meant. When you hold a team to the Miami, like the Miami Heat to 16 points after halftime, because that was the issue with the Celtics sometimes, right? That third quarter, the way they come out of halftime, but that wasn't the case this time around. And getting the Heat into foul trouble, you know, attacking the rim, keeping the offense flowing, like that made all the difference.
Yeah, Rob's return was huge. Him and Smart gutting this out. That's what it takes in the playoffs. I didn't love Tatum going to the shoulder after the struggles in the first half because didn't feel like he was hurt. I mean, Ime completely shook it off, asked a couple of times about it. I don't know what he was going there for, but he did recover and he did look good in that second half.
Yeah.
Brown bounced back. And you just say more and more about this team's resolve, everybody involved. It was game to game to start this series, but to finally do it within the flow of one game through a halftime and just go on that one little run that they needed there. It was simple tonight. Pritchard said it at shoot-around. All they needed to do was not turn the ball over and play with intensity on the defensive side. And I know we're trying to divvy up credit for the offensive contributions. We just got to keep turning back to that defense. It's unbreakable. And I know the Heat are struggling. I know Butler's not himself. But I think any team would have had trouble going against what the Celtics were doing defensively tonight. Rob in the middle, able to play off Tucker there and do it effectively, get back to his role, even at whatever percentage he is of himself, it makes all the difference in the world. And I think even going forward in the next round, if they get there, if Rob's out there, it's going to be hard for either team in the West to score on the Celtics with him in that drop role and the other perimeter defenders doing their thing. Like, he is just instrumental, and it almost brings you back to the defensive player of the year conversation, John. I think we were pretty high on Rob before he got hurt, and now that he's back, you just see head and shoulders this defense above where they are without him. Like, he's just an eraser in there. The ball dominant center and Bam is unable to get any clean touch inside. He's blocking shots in the corners off recoveries. And this is an injured Rob. Like, you just can't say enough about him getting out there, getting the treatment he needs, dealing with the swelling. You just saw him stumbling up and down the court in game 4 and in game 5, as you said, just before halftime, Jimmy. So it's still unimaginable that we're saying this about this group considering where they were in January, but this is a gritty, tough, resilient Celtics team. They just bounced back.
After a win, too. They don't usually do this after wins.
Yeah.
Hey, Sherrod.
We got some Miami in the house.
Oh, damn.
Miami best.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear.
You hear me? Okay, good.
You're doing your own version of the Miami Heat whiteout.
Were you in the club?
I'm in the same spot, man. I'm in the same spot.
Sherrod left in the third quarter. He's in the club.
Hey, man, this is...
How gloomy is that after party?
Well, all I know is I saw folks filing out with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. It was still a game. It was still a game at that point. But this was a great – I mean, this might be the signature Celtics win of the year, not only because it obviously moves them one step closer to getting to the finals, but think about this. Tatum in that damn shoulder was an issue. There's no doubt about that. Rob is out there giving you whatever the hell he can, which, again, his presence, and I've said this before, his presence in many instances is greater than his actual production. I thought him simply being on the floor caused a lot of problems for them. And Al Horford, good old, reliable, very steady throughout this game. And what can we say about Derrick White? He's been the every year there has to be somebody, if you're going to get to the NBA Finals, that has to emerge that we don't talk about. And frankly, we don't talk about because there's nothing to talk about with them. Derrick White has been that guy, filling that gap that left by Marcus Smart, who I'm shocked that he played. I'm really, really surprised that he was out there at all.
He's a warrior, man.
He is. One of his, just talking with one of his people, they made a really good point. It's like, Marcus has a ridiculously high pain threshold where his body is telling him one thing and his mind is telling him something different. And he's not letting those two get in the same room together. He's convinced himself that he can play, but his body's like, dude, seriously? Should we really be doing this? Oh, we're good. Big ass win for the Celtics. Big win, especially the way they started. I mean, it goes back to what we've been saying all along about the Heat. They're not that damn hard to beat if you're playing your game. If you play the way you're supposed to play, you're not gonna have a lot of trouble because they don't have a lot of weapons to turn to. And rest in peace to Kyle. Hey, rest in peace to Kyle Lowry's game. Let's just say a prayer for his game.
Oh man, he's done. He's done, huh?
Look, man, 0 for 6,
It was a good run.
not only did he not make a field goal, he did not even have an assist. When was the last time a starting point guard in a game of this magnitude didn't score and didn't have an assist, but had 3 turnovers? Turnovers.
Yeah, if this is the end for Lowry, the guys behind you don't seem too broken up about it.
They moved on.
Yeah.
They moved on.
It's just freaking having a ball.
Lowry's going away party behind you or something?
Guys, your season ended. Somebody should tell them their season is over.
Yeah, no, they're just counting tips, I think.
Yeah, I mean, guys, right.
I think they're better off starting Vincent in Game 6. In all seriousness,
no question about it.
No,
he was 100 times better. Yeah.
He was making plays at both, and even when it got a little bit out of hand and the Celtics had won, and Vincent was still out there with the 3rd/4th team Celtics. Even before that, he'd been playing better than Lowry. And at this point, it's not about egos; it's about who can help you get to that Game 7 if you're Miami. And to me, Vincent gives you a better shot than Lowry at this point.
Can we say that this is the Derrick White we expected when they traded for him? Just in terms
the playoffs.
Of
yes.
Just right.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
No, everything about this game I loved, because he didn't just stand behind the 3-point line and settle for that shot when the ball swung around to him. He attacked the paint, and he didn't just attack and loop in. He went in. He did his floater game. He did his kind of little reversal spin. He was looking to score on some of these possessions, in addition to being an absolute pain in the ass defender, fighting through, multiple screens. He had like that double block sequence there when he fought through a screen 3 times, to block a 3-pointer, and then he's back around. He was just in people's business all day. Loose balls, offensive rebounds, strips.
I love it.
Everything about it was like, that's the guy you thought you were getting. Right. But again, that assertiveness, I think the being without Marcus Smart, and knowing like I kind of got to carry it a little bit. These last couple of games Derrick White has been wearing that well. Hats off to him. Everyone's saying who gets the brownie. Derrick White gets the friggin' brownie. Brownie doesn't get the brownie, and it's not even. No, get Bobby. Come on. I like that.
I'll give it I'll give it a White. It was close.
I think White definitely deserves the brownie. It's not supposed to be the best player on the court.
Listen, you better the brownie goes to Hendrick's daddy. Okay,
that's right.
The most recent Hendrick's daddy, not the original one, but the most recent one.
Yeah,
give it to Hendrick's daddy. What was Bobby? Bobby, were you thinking Jaylen deserved the brownie?
No, I was going with Horford.
Okay. The X factor to see.
Brown.
I don't know.
Here's why Derrick White gets it.
Horford is doing this. Horford has been doing this the entire postseason. So what he did tonight was nothing unusual or out of the ordinary. It didn't put him over the top. Derrick did.
Saved them from themselves in the first half. And again, you're all haters because you're pointing out how freaking miserable they all played in the first half, but they were miserable. Tatum with the and like, come on, man, just play. Yeah. Butler can barely walk. He's not complaining every 2 seconds. Just play. He was off. His head was out of it. That Duncan Robinson 3 that he just looked at him and let him shoot it. I don't know what
pissed me.
That pissed me off. So I took my phone after Jaylen's first 2 turnovers. I was like, nope, I am not rage tweeting this half. I am not going to do it.
You scored 17 in the first.
I couldn't do it, but Derrick White saved them. He's the only guy who was balling the whole time. He kept it together. It was obvious Marcus wasn't right. You had a quick sub there too on Marcus, right? He went out like the 4-minute mark.
Yeah.
So
he picked up 2 quick fouls. So I think that had
2 quick fouls, and he went out at the 4-minute mark.
4
right.
by the third.
Yeah, so White came in, he saved them, and then Tatum and Brown showed up in the second half. Brown, and again, we didn't. I blipped out a little bit when you guys were talking about Jaylen. Jaylen, not just everyone. You know what I think sometimes we do too much with Jaylen. We judge just based on makes and misses, and he gets hot, and everyone's like, "Ooh, there he was." I thought his turnaround in the second half was really more about, I know what I'm doing, and I have to stop doing it. He stopped dribbling into traffic. He stopped trying to force the issue, and he made quick reads, quick passes, extra passes, relocated, spotted up, shot quickly, and he became more of a spot-up shooter, which is, again, probably something you have to do when you realize, like, okay, they're hounding me. I'm trying to be aggressive. I'm trying to dribble in. They've got quick hands. They're swarming me in the paint. I'm turning it over. He just stopped. He stopped doing it. He didn't do it. He didn't do it once in the second half. So I'm going to credit him not as much. The shot started falling and he hit those couple dagger threes and the friggin' dunk, obviously. Like, he had massive highlight-worthy plays and the scoring was huge, but he completely changed his approach. It's like he got a lobotomy at halftime and just like a brain transplant. And he came out totally different. And the intensity, too. Like, you're talking about energy shifting. His energy completely shifted, but also he just played so much more in control. So I will give like a major hats off to Brown just for being – go ahead, Jimmy.
No,
what do you got?
I was going to let you finish. I was going to piggyback off that. Not forcing it. Not forcing it.
Didn't force anything.
Yeah, right.
Everything came to him, and he played it clean. Yeah.
Yeah, and when he's not forcing it, he's not turning over, then he's not thinking about the turnovers, then those plays aren't going into the next place because it was like almost like one after another on some of those turnovers in the first quarter. You knew it was like mental at that point, like he's thinking about it, right? Yeah. So just do less, think less, and just play your game. Let the game come to you sometimes. These guys are good enough where the game can go to them. They don't have to always try to make something happen. And you also have to trust your teammates. Find you in the right place. Get you those threes. When he does decide he's going to drive, don't be head down thinking like, I have to put this ball up. This has to go in. Keep your head up. Look around. See where your guys are getting open for you. So I agree with you, John, and I agree with everything else you guys said about Brown in the second half. Just a completely different player. And it doesn't mean apologize for what happened, for what you said about him in the first half, because both things can be true.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to say something bad about him when he shot 5 for freaking 20 last game. So, I mean,
they weren't trying to hear it.
It's not a Jaylen Brown thing. Like, we've been doing this on the show for 3 seasons now.
I just want to ask the chat, how would you
suck? If you don't suck, we say you don't suck. It's not hating.
How would the chat feel if they lost this game the way the Heat played? Like, that just would have been unimaginable.
What'd you say, Bob?
I was going to say, how would the chat have felt if the Celtics lost this game the way the Heat played? Because, again, it was just unfathomable that the Celtics were behind the way the Heat were shooting and just running offense as a whole.
But Bobby, the reason that the Heat were leading in the first half were the points they were getting off turnovers.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Points off turnovers, second chance points.
28 of 42 points were preventable, okay? Between the second chance points and the points off of turnovers, 16 and 12. 28 of the 42 points the Heat scored in the first half were entirely self-inflicted preventable points. It was incredible. Their offense was so bad that if the Celtics didn't gift them 2/3 of their freaking points, they might have scored 20 points in the first half. That's how bad their offense was.
Yeah, it would have stopped them.
It literally could have been a 30-point half. It was that bad. Yeah. If the Celtics played even this close to near their level in the first half, this would have been like a 55-30 game at the half and just friggin' another absolute laugher. It was only because the Celtics offense was so freaking abysmal that the game was close at any point. But did anybody feel they were going to the Heat were so bad. Did anybody feel the Celtics were going to lose this? I mean, they would have had to play that bad for 4 quarters. I just didn't see that happening.
Well, I didn't see that the Celtics were their poor play was a reflection of the Heat's defense. Like, I'm watching Tatum miss open shots. I'm watching guys turn the ball over. And the Heat, it's not like they're pressuring them. Yeah, and so you figure if they just make the proper halftime adjustment. And to me, the game changer was Jaylen Brown deciding not to be a drive and finish at the rim guy. He pretty much everyone they match up against him, he can shoot over the top of them. And so what did he start doing in the second half? He just started shooting over the top of them. And they're so focused on not allowing JT to get into the paint that Jaylen Brown is open on the wing. And so he's knocking out wide open.
It just has to move.
Threes.
It has to move faster. It's all about decision making, I think. What they were doing, I think what worked for them a little bit last game, I think they tried to do again, particularly with Jaylen, is they're hunting mismatches. You knew you could go at Strus. You knew when Duncan Robinson was in the game, you could go at him. They were trying really hard to work on those, but the Heat did a good job kind of, flashing, giving that quick double, and they were just allowing themselves to dribble into it. And when you'd get through that first guy, all the Celtics in the first half were just stationary, it felt like. So again, there's nowhere for the guy to go, and they could just collapse the paint on him. You're just going into a forest. It just isn't going to work that way. You have to attack it quick. And you saw a couple things that Tatum did and Brown did, which is what I love. Get to a spot and rise up. They don't do that enough. The elbow jumper, the baseline jumper, you don't always have to take it all the way. You've got the length. When Brown smelled Vincent on him a couple times late, and he's like, I'm just going to shoot up and over this guy. He's got that great jab step, turnaround, rise up. fadeaway where he can get into the lane and shoot that, that's a free throw. I mean, he's going to make 60% of those. I like seeing them incorporate some of those. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, he was spotting up and hitting from the corner, and the Celtics did a good job moving the ball. But yeah, they were just driving into nowhere land all over again for no reason at all.
I think that's spot on, John. Like, that's exactly what the Miami Heat wanted him to do. And he kept falling for it over and over and over again. I'm like, you're going into the deal. It's like sometimes Jaylen Brown just wants to blow by his defender.
And sometimes it's just what they need
know
too.
That.
Right.
Well, yeah, that too, but also
you got to take what the game gives you. Right.
Exactly. The defense was reading that every single time, and he wouldn't adjust. He wouldn't adjust to the second half. And that made a big difference for sure.
Well, the Heat made it easy to adjust too because they had to go small. I mean, their offensive issues just reached such a point of desperation that they had to cut Dedmon out. They had to go to those smaller lineups, and there's really no way around the fact that when they go smaller, it's going to open up the whole world for Tatum. Even if he's not scoring, just getting to the right places on the floor to make a play. I mean, those Miami small ball lineups have been dreadful when it comes to trying to keep the Celtics in front of them there. And they need to do it because they're just not scoring enough. And you reach such a point of desperation offensively. If you're Miami, you put yourself in a bad spot by putting those out on the floor. Robinson, yeah, he gets going for a few shots, but he instantly becomes that target. And he's just such a weak link on the floor. You see why he wasn't playing before. And this is what Josue and I talked about after the last game in one of our segments. It's startling how thin the Heat are. Like they seemed like the deepest team in the world coming into this. And now it's just like, oop, you can't play Duncan. Strus is hurt. Lowry, you can't play him. Dedmon, you can't play him. And all of a sudden, five guys. Yeah, Hero's hurt.
Yeah.
So
Can
we talk about Hero's outfit?
Oh my God. I can't. That's something to me, and I can't figure out what it is.
That's Miami, man.
Someone said
that's what Bobby was walking around looking like.
Yeah,
that was
like a club owner in Miami. What was another one?
But like the way the shirt was, like the shoulders were like puffed up. He just looked weird. The whole thing, you know.
All right. What was worse, or what look stood out more? Ben Simmons, the infamous Ben Simmons look, or the Hero look tonight?
Hero.
I like the Joker. I like the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker. I kind of go with the Joker with that one.
Yeah.
He had the goatee that just screamed out, "Never trust that guy." Like, he just said it on his face. Like,
against all the black jerseys around him too.
Tyler Hero can never be taken seriously again.
But what was that? Why did he do that?
Sorry, he can't be taken seriously again. You should revoke his Sixth Man award for that outfit. It was just,
this is
a freaking disgrace.
I can't. Oh man, this team, one win from the finals. Just what a special opportunity they have here. Like the way they started this year, the place they were in January. We can tell the story a million times, but it never gets any less amazing. Just think of where we all were. We go back to January and we say, all right, does this team have a chance to make the NBA Finals? We'd be like, in 2024 maybe. But to turn it around this year, to get within one win of the finals, this defense sustaining like it has, reaching this level of play, these guys figuring it out offensively and connecting enough. And I do think this game was emblematic of just how much better they've become as a passing team into that second half. Great plays all around, great connectivity. It's just such a great group. You really like watching this team at this point, despite some of their flaws that pop up from time to time. And they just really have such a special opportunity this year. They took the tough path. They've fought through injuries. They've gotten big contributions from a variety of players across the board here. The latest White. It's just a special team, and they really have that feel when we talk about the resiliency of a champion. The 6 straight wins, and I say 6 because of the game 7 after losses and being down with their back against the wall. The turnaround in this game after the first half, it just has that feel. It really does. And you got to get it done at home here. You don't want to bring it back to Miami for a game 7. So that's obviously where we'll look next. But I don't know. I never felt it with the Heat from the start. I just never got it about them. I know injuries have creeped in. They've completely changed how this team looks. But I watched them all year. And I see them in the half court, and I'm just like, there's nothing here, you know, and not a lot of shooting, not a lot of spacing, not a lot of playmaking, not a lot of guys who really want to shoot the ball. Like how hesitant are so many of these guys to just put a shot up?
Not just that. I mean, how many times did they have wide open threes? Oladipo hit the other side of the backboard on one.
Yes.
Tyler
Yeah.
Hero pulled. I mean, Lowry pulled up from one, and he would have airballed it on like an 8-foot hoop that was 3 feet closer. You know, like it was nowhere near. It bounced like in the middle of the paint. You know, like it wasn't even close.
I had to lower the subwoofer on my TV. That's how loud some of these studs were.
Some of them just gong, going. You could hear thuds. It was like Thor's hammer, you know, like it was just crashing off the backboard.
You know, it's
gonna get noise complaint.
Oof.
It was bad. And that's the thing. When you're counting on people who aren't day in, day out contributors as regular members, they're going to turn into pumpkins, you know? And so like you get your flashes from your Martins and your Vincents and Oladipos and things like that. That's not going to repeat itself. And that's the problem is like Miami's just counting too much on these guys because their star players are banged up. It just can't. Yeah, it's just not going to work. And again, it really is a matter of like, you know, who's like not horrible really is gonna win this, but like Miami's horrible right now, and I just don't. I think they felt it too. They're like
they shot 17% in the third.
They're like we're
they felt it because they haven't put up a performance like this all postseason. So of course they definitely felt it. But yeah, John, I think that's spot on as well. You know, I feel like going into this one, I was thinking, okay, Marcus is back. Robert's back to whatever extent that is, which of course Ime said, like, you know, Rob, we're going to try to keep him out, you know, when we can, but there's no restrictions. And they don't have Tyler Hero. Again, a guy who I was still thinking could have one of those games. One of the few players on that team that could put the ball on the floor, score on his own, you know, take guys one-on-one off the dribble.
That's it.
I'm like, look, if the Celtics can't pull this off, if they can't win this game, then they're not ready for this moment. And look, that would have been the case. That would have been
he can create.
The case.
Right now, they don't have anyone who can.
Exactly.
Yeah, tonight was that Victor Oladipo welcome back to earth moment. 1 for 7.
Same for Lowry.
With 3 points. Yeah. I mean, well, Lowry's kind of
Lowry hasn't been off the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's you know.
Sherrod, since you have a good view, let me ask you: when Smart and Rob are out there, and you're kind of keeping an eye on them both, when they're in, you know, like I said, there's a lot of times Rob seemed to be, and Jimmy tweeted about it, kind of taking his time getting back on certain trips down. You know, you could tell he wasn't sprinting up and down the court, and seemed to be conserving himself a little bit on some trips. And, you know, he'd had long stints on the bench. But how did those guys look coming off to you? Were they, you know, kind of gimpy? Were they, you know, just the way you're looking at them, did they look way off injury-wise, both Smart and Rob?
I thought Smart actually looked a lot better than I thought. The one thing to me, he was just solid. And for Marcus, that's not the measurement stick that he wants to be at. He was solid, but Marcus is usually spectacular. Makes a great hustle play, whether it's diving for a loose ball, forcing in turn, doing something that's kind of game altering. And he didn't do any of that really in this game, but he was solid. And let's be honest. Jimmy Butler's not healthy. Kyle Lowry can't make a shot. So for Marcus Smart, his workload was much lighter. And Bam is scared, basically. And one of the things that I thought was really, really important that I don't know if people picked up on this, but Al Horford spent a lot of time guarding Jimmy Butler. A lot of time. And Jimmy could not beat him off the dribble. Jimmy could not get to a spot. And I thought his ability to neutralize Butler was huge because it afforded the rest of those guys who, as we pointed out, they don't have anyone who can really get buckets other than Jimmy. And if Al's able to neutralize him and go out and get you 16, 7, and 5 dimes, you don't need Rob to be out there.
And you can get away with someone like Horford doing that because you're really not worried about Butler beating you from 3 or on the perimeter. He's getting into the paint. He's getting those paint touches, getting his body into people and creating those shots. And that's his bread and butter. All game long, whether all series long or certainly the last few games, when Horford tonight, but when Rob is there lurking as well, Butler just doesn't know where to go. You know, you could see the Heat enter the paint, and then they're like, and now I'm going to leave the paint, you know, every single time. They don't want to be there.
Right.
It's been an interesting series. Who would have thought, I know we were talking about Horford on Butler here, who would have thought the Rob return would have been this impactful? Because the reality is, the other points in the series the other times he played a little bit in Brooklyn and through the Milwaukee series, Celtics actually were better when he was off the court. they weren't better when he didn't play because that meant you had to suffer through Tice minutes instead of mediocre Rob minutes. But in the games he played, they were better with him off than on because he wasn't really himself. Why is it so different now?
Well, the Heat, frankly, they have a couple of guys that can knock down shots from the perimeter. But for the most part, the Celtics' strength is their perimeter defenders. So the Heat, in that instance, you're looking to finish at the rim. Rob prevents that from happening. So now you look at a lot of the injuries that Miami has there on the perimeter, so they can't knock down shots the way they normally can. They can't get to the hole because Rob's there, and that's why his impact is so much greater because Miami doesn't have a counter when Rob's on the floor. If their counter is we'll just shoot jump shots, the Celtics will be like, okay,
go nuts,
do it,
right?
Go ahead, yeah.
And they took 45 of them in this one, Sherrod. And the percentage didn't look great, right? Like. It was out of desperation, I thought, a lot of times. But when you look at the way the Celtics were playing defense in that second half, they needed someone to come up big. They needed someone like Jimmy that was just going to, take matters to his own hand. And it just never happened. You look at the Celtics defense, man, it's just again, I can't say this enough. It's so different when Rob's out there. It's like the difference between a team going on that game-defining run and the Celtics being able to lock down a team, hold them to 80 points after holding them to 82 points 2 nights ago. Like this stuff doesn't happen nowadays in the NBA. Like this is the definition of the best defense in the NBA. This is a championship defense, and they certainly play like one today.
Yeah, and he's giving you stuff at both ends. Obviously, both sides of the court are connected. So you have more opportunities to get him rim runs. Offensive rebounds at the net was super important for him here in this one, hitting Robinson with that fourth foul there and getting free throws for himself. He doesn't score a lot. He doesn't take a lot of shots, but he just makes your offense better. And when your offense is more stable and together and has more outlets, you're not going to be giving up as many transition runs and breakouts and live ball misses and turnovers and such. So he's still getting better on that end as well. But as Josue said there, it's all about the defense. Sherrod, great point. Playing off Tucker and some of these other guys, he can really stay in the lane. And Miami, unlike Brooklyn with Durant and Giannis in last series especially, which just made it such a bad matchup for Rob, is that guys aren't targeting him one-on-one. There's really no one on the Heat side. I guess you could say Bam should be that guy,
Bam is soft.
But he hasn't been. So there's really no one out there that can target.
WFT.
Yeah, there's no one out there that can target Robin.
Soft.
Yeah, you can't really say. You really can't say enough about Bam, right? Because Lowry, Butler, all these different guys.
I can say a lot about him.
Yeah, all these other guys, they're dealing with stuff. Unless he's really hiding something. Bam's the healthy guy out there. He should be setting the tone for them. He should be trying to take Rob out of the game, and he can't.
But you know what, Bobby, though? Well, not only that, but his game is ridiculously one-dimensional. When was the last time he made a shot that wasn't like head-on toward the basket? He doesn't shoot from the elbows. He doesn't shoot from the corners. He literally shoots in front of the paint. If you force him to take a shot that's not literally when you first learn how to play the game right in front of the rim, he's not doing a whole lot. He got it going in
game 3, but it wasn't sustainable.
And
right?
you can ignore him there too, and that's the thing is he's just not a threat anywhere but close to the basket. So you can almost sag off of him.
He does that thing where he's just looking for like 3 different options.
He always wants to hand it off. Yeah.
Yeah, like he gets there, he's in position to score, and then he turns around. I'm telling you, but he didn't do that in that big game that he had when Rob wasn't in the middle.
Well, he was looking to attack,
like
but he's really not a guy who beats you off the dribble. He's not a guy who scores from the perimeter. Bam. So I mean, it's again, he's just got to go to work inside, and it's just he's afraid of Rob. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, he's just not that player. He's just not that guy. He's just not that guy.
Not about that.
At this stage of his career, he's not him.
It's not about that life. No.
But why did he go backwards? 2 years ago, he was.
And that's what cracks me up too. He's terrific when you're feasting on Daniel Tyson and his canter and rookie Rob, but Rob's all grown up, my man. Okay, he's all grown up right now, and you don't want anything to do with it. Okay, it's a different Rob. It's a different Rob.
But you know what?
Though? The man now.
What's up, Jimmy?
We don't expect Rob to drop 25-30, and that's what I think the Heat are expecting from Bam, and he's just not that guy. And so the difference between the Celtics and the Heat are that the Heat are capable of playing solid defense, but they're not capable of getting hot like the Celtics are behind Tatum and Brown, and if another guy or two like Al gets hot, they just don't have that. So what the Celtics are able to do, if they start off cold like they have in the playoffs at certain points, they survive on their defense until the offense gets there. And then the offense gets there in the second half or whenever it does. And then that's when they stretch the leads out. So it's almost like, you're obviously relying on their defense to win, but you need that offensive burst that the Heat just don't have and the Celtics do. That's kind of the difference in these games. It reminds me of the Bucks series a lot. I mean, there was plenty of games where the Celtics did not come out strong, and you're like, wow, they're only down 7 right now, or they're only down 5, and it feels like they should be down a lot more. Well, their defense kept them in the game, and then all they had to do was just play okay on the offensive end.
The Bucks couldn't separate, yeah.
Exactly, the Bucks couldn't separate, and the Heat can't either. They couldn't tonight. I mean, we have seen them separate, previous games, but I just don't think at this point in the series they're capable of doing it. You can credit the Celtics. You can blame the Heat's health. It's really a combination of both things, and for that reason, I think the Celtics shouldn't have an issue on Friday night, which leads me to my biggest question of the night, and I'm going to put this on the reporters in the room here to find out if our guy Larry Legend is going to be in the building Friday night, potentially to give out the Larry Bird Trophy, the Eastern Conference champions. So I'm hoping that in here can find out. Josue,
trophy's gonna be.
Yeah. I'm afraid what Larry looks like these days. I feel like we haven't seen him in a few years. He's gonna have like horns or something. Like he's just
are in this game, and then let him know, and then maybe get him to the arena somehow.
I wasn't thinking about that, but now I am, John. Now I am.
I hope they knew when they named that trophy that he's probably not going to show up.
Yeah,
they should have went with Bill Russell. He's probably more likely to show up.
Bill Russell's got a trophy.
You got to show up.
That's right.
The inaugural.
He wouldn't show up.
Well, let me ask you guys.
Russell showed up for his first one.
What can the Heat do?
Damn Lakers.
At this point,
pray.
No, forget about it. Like I know you're talking about like
don't get on the plane.
And I don't want to get all into the SPO adjustments, but from a personnel standpoint, I do think you have to probably go Vincent over Lowry. You do wonder what else you can do here, though. I don't really know. I like
make Hero play.
I mean, if Gabe Vincent sticks around long enough, he turns into Gabe Vincent, John. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I think you just got to go down.
But he's still better than Lowry right now. Lowry's
hurt now.
And Strus, did he come back in after he went to the locker room?
Honestly, I think he's just like depressed because
I don't know.
What do you go? 0 for 7?
He only finished with 20
9,
minutes.
0 for 7 from the 3. Like this is not.
He's still mad we took Javante. He's mad.
Yeah, they don't have options, John. It's amazing because all we did all year was talk about how deep this team was.
You jinxed him. You got him thinking about his days.
They gotta get Hero. They gotta get Hero back. Like he's gonna have to grit something out, but you don't know how it'll look if it's a.
Were you saying was it on the Low podcast about the Hero injury?
Yeah, 2 to 4 week injury. Shelburne said so.
Ramona Shelburne said right. Hero wouldn't even come close to playing if this were regular season. So if he does play, it's like ready to just tear that thing apart.
Yeah, and you don't know if they'll go there with one of their young players.
You could probably say that for Rob. You can probably say that for Marcus. You can probably say that for Tucker.
Marcus is just one. Those guys play, and then they're gonna wake up every single day and be like, just the swelling, and then they got to deal with that. Like that's just what's gonna happen. That's the worry
going into Game 6, right? You hope there's no setback there.
Right, like they could both be like out, and be like, oh god,
and you're in trouble. Yeah, so that's what you hope for if you're the Heat, or Boston just doing what it did in the first half tonight for the entire game, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen now with the way this team's keyed in on those areas. So that's the only hope the Heat have left. Like, do you really see a shooting explosion from them? Do you really see Butler going off for one of his games? Bam, certainly not if Rob's out there.
I'm never done
if the Celtics show up intact.
Yeah, Butler maybe, but is that enough?
He hasn't been close. I mean, that's the biggest difference for them. He's the head of their snake. Like, he just sets everything up for Bam. Bam's that second guy when Butler's setting the tone at the point of attack there, and he's the guy who gets the shooters the looks, and he's the guy that just gets everything popping there, and they're missing that right now. Lowry can't step into that void. You talk about Vincent. He's just not that guy. He's someone who's going to create for himself off the dribble there. So they're out of options. It's unbelievable to say it.
They might start Martin next game, honestly. Like, they got to do something. They need healthy bodies instead of like the guys with the right. They shouldn't play the guys with the right names on their back right now because they're
Markieff Morris. Throw him up there.
Markieff,
dust him off.
Or do the whole twin switcheroo and have Marcus come in.
Yeah.
And then
Marcus would drop 25, 30.
Yeah. And you'd be like, oh my God. Easy. Yeah.
No, but I mean, we talk about the Celtics beating themselves. Just don't come out in game 6 and act like the series is over. Be stagnant. Be satisfied with where they're at. I don't know why this is still such a conversation.
They did it in the first half,
Celtics.
so.
I know, and you just hear them talking about it like, we can't do it again. We better not get stagnant again. We better not turn the ball over some more. And all of a sudden, woo, the ball is just flying everywhere. That's concerning. The health of this team's concerning. Let's say they've locked up a trip to next round. Like, these two things are still concerning for this group if we're looking at a championship run here. But they've done a good job circumventing both for now.
You got a quote, Josue? What do you got?
I got a Tatum quote. He was asked about the third quarter turnaround and what led to it. And he said, we pretty much all asked each other, how much do we really want this? I like that.
I feel like they should have asked each other that before the game.
Shouldn't have.
What was the answer? Did he give an answer?
No, he didn't give an answer.
Oh, he didn't give an answer. Somebody
shouldn't that be like part of the pregame spiel? Shouldn't that be part of the pregame spiel?
But Sherrod,
or is that just me?
Works. They gotta get down on themselves before they can pick themselves up.
I hate that.
It's the story of the team. It's the story of the team, and it's gotten them this far. And they're not going to change, but at least they didn't drop the ball altogether.
You know what?
Let me say this, not a bad game.
Let me say this, not to cut you off, Josue.
No, I was done.
That's fine and dandy against a Heat team that can't shoot themselves. I don't even know what the saying is, but they can't shoot. Yeah. But you do that against the Warriors, they're not going to afford you that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's want it more now. Like, let's go out in the second half and want it. It's like, nah, you're playing the freaking Warriors, and they just dropped 75 on your head in the first half. They're not going to go drop 35 in the second.
And it's a third straight team. Yeah, it's a third straight team that can play really good defense, which means you can't come in and half-ass it because they'll eat you alive.
Warriors are going to be tough.
You just can't do it if it's the Warriors, even if it's the Mavericks. They both play really good defense.
That's another tough defense, exactly.
It's not going to be the Mavericks.
These are the this is why, like,
Miami's, the good defenses of the NBA. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's the whole thing where, like, people, the concern with the Celtics, and they're not the only players and not only team like this, but, front running tendencies, when you're not facing like really tough teams, what can you do here? And can you rise up and can you do that? It's like, you can't get frustrated when the other team's playing hard. You can't have that, all the bad habits come out there. You have to just be playing the second half version of themselves today all the time. Like, there shouldn't be these. You just can't. They're just.
I get that, John, but
they can't coast through any of it. I'm surprised. Like, there's halves or games at this stage in the year that you're still doing that. Like, it is. They're not the only ones, though.
John, I just gotta say, John, you ripped that quote into pieces. I didn't see that one coming. Jeez,
you know he's not coming. Wait, you didn't?
I'm kind of somewhere.
No.
I'm kind of somewhere between you two on this, because it is a glaring problem with this group. Like, they're gonna cost themselves. They're gonna cost themselves at some point.
Oh yeah, we forgot. It's the playoffs. We should have come out and played today. Like, yeah. We talked at halftime, and we're like, yeah. It's the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
we should try.
That's what I saw in Al's eyes. He's like, you're not gonna mess this up for me. You're not messing.
Al after Game 3 was like.
This might be my last chance to get back to the finals. Don't mess this shit up.
Yeah.
You know what? Give me the ball. Shit, I'll do my. Did you see after he
took a full court?
He went to the team like,
that was awesome.
Guys, are we back now? Are we good?
That was awesome.
I love that moment, and everybody knew what that meant. It was like, yeah, okay, Papa, Al, all right, I love that, man. Like, that was the turnaround.
I'm somewhere between you two on that one, because it is going to cost you at some point if you continue doing it, because you've gotten enough breaks at this point to avoid it costing you. Like, it really should have cost you in Game 5 against the Bucks there. But you've done an incredible job as a team just circumventing it and overcoming it. And a big part is the defense. Like, the defense just gives you a massive room for error. The other team can't build the leads, as Jimmy talked about there. So you also give a team credit for working around its own deficiency, because every team has a deficiency, right? This just happens to be Boston's. The ball control, just preventing turnovers, those sorts of things. So a championship run's never going to be easy. It's not just going to be a straight shoot where nothing goes wrong and you don't screw up and you don't face some deficits and things like that. So a big credit,
bad, Bobby. 6-2.
A big credit to a team's championship pedigree is its ability to overcome adversity and be resilient. So they do a good job recovering from these lapses, but man, there's starting to become a lot of them. And that worries you against a team that isn't really missing anyone significant injury-wise. Gary Payton matters, but, you know, he might even get back in that series, and is just fully loaded and ready to exploit you if you do those things. Because Celtics were probably the best defense all year. Warriors, that number 2 that was right there with them.
Are we previewing the Warriors right now? Damn.
We are. Yep.
I'm just saying, if you get to that point, that's where you get worried about these lapses.
Capitasto and I used to do that at NBC all the time. When the Patriots would enter the playoffs, we would jokingly do a Super Bowl preview because we were like, "Doesn't matter. They're just gonna steamroll these 3 teams." And people would be like, "Stop it!" You know, it's like, let's just
if the Celtics. Let's just say this: if the same Heat keeps showing up and the Celtics don't make the finals.
For what it's worth, by the way,
you don't want to be on that show, Bobby. You do not want to be on that show.
A fun little stat, like throughout, you know, just tracking shot quality, you know, for the people who keep track of these metrics. And the Celtics, for almost every game this series, have had better shot quality. Tonight's the first one the Heat had better shot quality than the Celtics. They were just so bad at shooting that.
Well, transition too.
Yeah, but I mean, they had open looks in some cases. They just couldn't hit. They just couldn't hit a freaking thing. I mean, we always talk about like what it would be like on the Heat postgame show. Like the Heat postgame show's been over for 40 minutes.
The Heat postgame show is going on behind Sherrod. They're done.
It's been over for a while because it's like what are you going to talk about? Every freaking brick. It was just brutal, right?
Yeah, that's what those guys were laughing at.
I can't imagine.
That was a fourth chance try that Oladipo hit off the backboard. That was a fourth chance on that possession.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
They can't do anything.
It was the Celtics. Look at everything. The Heat had better shot quality tonight. Again, by certain metrics, the Celtics lost the turnover battle, got killed on the offensive glass, and won going away. You know, like. What boxes do the Heat want to check? You know, you check almost every single box that you're going to need here.
Putting the ball in the basket.
Here's a good quote. I don't know if Tatum was watching the show before he went to the podium.
Let me see.
Winning Game 6. Don't believe what you guys say on TV like we won a championship because it's far from over. So,
which is true, Bobby Manning. Don't say it's over.
Yeah, I mean they're going to the mindset.
That's key for them. I'm just saying what I'm seeing right now. And again, everyone in the chat saying everyone's in the chat saying I'm flip-flopping. I never got off the Celtics in this series. Did I? I came close.
You said they're in trouble more than a couple times.
I said they're in trouble, but I never said they were going to lose. I did say they were going to lose to the Bucks.
It's just
trouble usually means losing.
Whose audio sucks right now?
Bobby, you're very in the moment. Okay?
Yeah.
Well,
let's just say that. Here. You're very in the moment.
Okay, can we just say hypothetically, not that this is going to happen, but if the Celtics were to lose Game 6, tell me Bobby's not dropping that. This team might be in trouble. Like, that's what people are talking about. That's why they're calling you Bobby flip-flops.
Well, they were in trouble after Game 3. That was a bad look for them. They just got smoked on their home court.
Must be May. Bobby's got the flip-flops on.
Bobby, I think you're the bad audio. I just muted you.
I knew you had the bad audio.
I was muting one at a time. It's your mic, buddy.
I was looking at that mic. Yeah, I was looking at that mic.
Yeah.
No lie, I was crossing my fingers when you muted me. I'm like, no, that's not me.
I was one at a time. I was going after you guys. I'm gonna find out who it is.
John would be like, "Oh, it's Josue. Of course, it's effing Josue."
Yeah. Josue, I'm proud of you. You almost get the brownie for just continuous service tonight. Okay.
I checked all the boxes today.
Just being here the whole time without one blip out, you might get the brownie tonight, my man.
From the beginning, you've been a Rob Williams of the show tonight, Josue. You've been a Rob Williams. Just your presence alone has been solid.
Yeah.
I missed one. I had to check one more box. That's why in the beginning I was like, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Get this out the way now. So I'm good.
I might not get credit for it, but I did say coming into the series, Celtics in 5 or 6. And really, it's only injuries that have prevented 5. So I just never saw it.
Sherrod's face just said it all right there.
I'm going to give Bobby
Bobby's like, I said I said
5 or
5, 6 or
6.
7. 5,
That
6,
is
7, you know?
that is fair. Bobby hated the Heat more than the rest of us respected the Heat. Bobby not so much. That's true. But then
That is true.
Bobby
That
felt
is true.
slightly different after game 1, and then
yeah,
slightly
I
different
had
after and then after game 3, and then so it's not that you didn't begin thinking this way, it's that your thinking changes quickly. That's all. But yes, you hated the Heat. You thought less of the Heat than all of us, no question about it.
That's true.
And the only way you're going to lose this series is if you beat yourself. And in game 1, you beat yourself. Game 3, you beat yourself in a big way. And you almost did it again tonight. And man, that would have been devastating because the Heat had 0 going. Absolutely 0. You were feeding them everything they got.
Yeah, that would have been something if they blew us.
That would have been something.
I would love to see how the Heat would pull it off. Like,
nah, wrap it up. We don't have Jimmy for game 7, so we can't really risk it. Plus, the Celtics need badly to get as much rest as possible before the finals start, which are next week. You do have that 4 or 5 days.
And believe it or not, I don't want to go back to Miami.
And you want bubble wrap. Bobby, what, you ran out of cream cheese?
I've had my fill.
He's at his Philadelphia.
Time for San Francisco. Something fresh.
Yeah, San Fran's a little milder. You could survive out there.
Oh man, give us that finals, please. We've been waiting years. 18, it seemed inevitable. 19, it felt like those teams were on a collision course. They played such great games over the years. Even this year, those 2 matchups were epic. And now it feels like we're finally going to get that. So just close this out.
Easy.
Tito Horford was talking to Max. He said that we're not going back to Miami.
He said it's over, baby.
And that's really all that matters is what Tito Horford says before the game.
He also said that after game 5.
My sage. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's over, baby.
Then.
Tito said it.
It's about to get really fun, guys. I just can't believe this is what they're on the precipice of. Just take advantage, close it out. I feel like it's not going to be that hard. You're just going to need one great run.
You know what Friday is?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
I know.
Closeout games are always hard, Bobby. They're always hard. Especially when you know that if you win, you get to come back to your crib to close the series out.
Yeah.
It is going to be a bloodbath, game 6. That is going to be a bloodbath. It is going to be the most physical, grimy game of this entire series.
But you know,
Jimmy's going to come back. Not to say that means that spells out doom for the Celtics, but he's gonna come up with a big performance.
All right.
It's going to be a mental game for the Celtics because we know that they're more talented. Physically, they can outlast the Heat. They're healthier. They're more talented.
You know, Jimmy.
But everything they're saying, they need to actually, practice what they're preaching right now. They do need to come out strong in game 6. They need to pretty much take the will out of the Heat early on. Don't let the Heat think that they have a chance to win this game and bring it back to game 7. If they go up big in the first half, then I'll be saying that it's probably over because I don't think the Heat have what it takes to make a comeback. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you, buddy. But other than that, I'm not ready to say that. Yet.
John didn't have to put that there. You know that, right?
I didn't post that.
I don't mind.
By the way,
he posted it like 40 times, so I just gave him a shot.
By the way,
then I put him in timeout. No spam, guys. If we don't put the same comment up 35 times. But there you go. You got it.
Don't try to spam your way onto the screen.
By the way, the building's gonna be rocking on Friday. It was a great crowd for 3 and 4. Now, everybody dreaming of the finals. It's gonna be
8:30 start on a Friday night.
I'm gonna be so hammered. Yeah.
Friday, dude. I'm literally gonna step away from a wedding for this show on Friday. A wedding, not the actual ceremony, but the night before. So I'm gonna be all over the place. But I'll try my hardest to be a good boy.
Thanks for the warning. That's good to know.
Be a good boy.
Yeah.
Huge win tonight.
Yeah, huge win.
Huge win. Well said. Anyone else? Final thoughts? Facts, dog.
Facts, my dog. Oh, man. One win, huh? One more win. What's that, number 11? Number 11. Wow.
Just get it done. Just get it done.
Or maybe do the math. Not my wedding, somebody asked. Not my wedding.
Get it done. Do the same thing, especially from the beginning, from the jump. You know? Which is what Peyton Pritchard talked about a lot at the
Yeah.
shoot around.
Miami doesn't want to play any more basketball.
6 minutes in this one,
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, the point that Jimmy made about just jumping on early, I do think if the Celtics can jump on him early, that they will wilt. And it won't necessarily be because the Celtics are putting this tremendous amount of pressure on them. It'll be because they'll look down that damn sideline and look over there at the Celtics sideline and be like, damn.
Yeah.
This is a wrap. We can't. What the hell we got Jimmy?
The crowd starts going, and you're just like, man, you know, like,
and you start thinking about that vacation that you have planned, and you're just at this point, let's just book that trip.
Like, Waikiki looks great this time,
especially when you're hurting. I am worried. I'll just be awaiting that injury report, right? Because all of a sudden, if we see Smart, if we see Rob, we're gonna go,
Yeah.
And
Sherrod, you've covered some bad teams. You know what it's like. Not saying the Heat are a bad team, but you know what it's like when you get to the end of the season and you kind of know it's over. And
he hasn't covered a lot of bad teams.
Kind of ready to go.
I've covered a few, but the Heat. Listen, the one thing that's a little bit different about them is that yes, they are battered and bruised, and they got guys who aren't nearly where they should be health wise, but they're also a prideful team. They're a prideful team that's well coached, and those are the teams that always make me nervous in closeout games because those two intangibles, you start to see those play out if you give them an inch of confidence. If you're missing layups and missing free throws and playing like crap and they're having like a 3, 5, 7 point lead and they haven't played particularly well, they're going to feel like, okay, we just need to play a little bit better because the Celtics didn't clearly show up. So let's just get this thing back to Miami and roll the dice and see what happens. If you're the Celtics, you need to establish your control of the game, or you need to give that crowd something to cheer about. You need to give them a reason to be all on the Heat's ass from the jump. You do that, right. you make your life easier. You do that, and we see Nesmith, we see Luke Cornett in a game in maybe end of the third, early fourth.
Yeah,
Mark Fitz action.
Yeah. How come he doesn't? They won't even let him whiff the court in the blowouts here. What did he do? What did he do? He can't get 1 minute.
Got to pay your dues, Joe.
He's got a couple minutes.
Who's that?
He was out there. He threw down a big dunk in one of the games, didn't he?
Who's that? Luke?
Fitz?
No, Fitz.
No, he's talking about Fitz.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, how come no Pritchard tonight? Really?
Why?
Because
Derrick White. Because Derrick White had it going.
Yeah,
and Smart came.
The last thing they needed.
White,
the last thing they needed was for him to,
They also played
shots and kind of rattled the. I don't know the offense.
They played Tatum and Brown together the whole time too.
Yeah,
and they were in attack mode. I just felt like they weren't trying to open up the perimeter at the time, especially in that third quarter. Before they knew the third quarter was done, that run bled into the fourth, and I didn't see a spot for him really to put him back in.
No, but I think they like their size advantage a lot.
That too, yeah.
They liked what they were doing because White was playing so well, and they were really just, like I said, Tatum and Brown, between them, they were on the court together for like 40 minutes. They really didn't come off much here.
And let's be honest, the way the guys at the Celtics played out there tonight, for the most part, where the hell was Miami going to matchup hunt from? Who
that was why?
The weak link?
Yeah.
Who was the weak link? There was no weak link. There was no one that they could go out and say, you know what, if we match up Jimmy with that dude, Jimmy's gonna bust his ass. There was no matchup like that tonight. None.
And that's what made the Celtics team special. I heard John talking about that the other night. Like, this is the return from the starting lineup of the rotation that was just smoking everybody all season. 91 defensive rating when Horford and Rob are out there. I'm sure that actually went down tonight, but that was coming into tonight. So you just have a dominant group out there, a group that should, I think, win a championship if they're healthy, and you just hope you get there. And the key on Friday, you get yourself 5 days of rest if you close it out there before you head out to, as I would think, San Francisco. Probably have to go a day early for that trip, but you earn yourself quite a bit of rest if you get this done on Friday. And who knows, if Dallas puts up a good fight in Game 5 out there, you might just be on the same level of rest as the Warriors and Mavericks are, or the Warriors are rather. So you want this on Friday. You really do.
We want it.
So game 1 is out west. Is that what?
Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah, it was starting San Fran.
The key is have the halftime speech pregame.
If the Warriors win it, if they win
I'm saying
if not,
have your halftime speech before the game and just come out and lights out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Flip the.
You got to feel this opportunity.
Do the exact same speech if you
don't
need to.
say that.
Okay, say verbatim.
Yeah, run it back.
I think enough of these guys have come up short in this spot. I mean, they all did mostly in 2018, right? So you got to feel the weight of this opportunity that you have right now. It's massive.
Yep. We'll let you guys know if you want to continue the conversation. You head over to Discord. If you haven't signed up for our Discord server yet, clnsmedia.com/Discord. Head over to the Celtics General chat, and it's pumping pretty much all day long through the game, after the game. So there'll be people there chatting if you want to kind of continue the conversation there. A couple of us might jump on as well, and talk with you guys and see what you have to say.
Chat.
But it's a school night. I see Jimmy yawning. Sherrod's going back and forth and back. When you get to the 1-1-1 portion of these, 2-2-1-1-1 series, it really gets challenging, the travel. So
it wears your ass out.
Yeah.
Tonight was nice.
Especially when finals are 2-3-2, right?
No, I think they're back to 2-2-1-1-1.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's tough with West Coast, man. When Bruins Vancouver almost killed me in 2011, I swear. That was so brutal. When you have to start on the road, you do three trips out there. Oh my goodness gracious! And that's what this one will be.
That's as far as it gets.
Oh yeah, that went 7. That's right.
But you start 2 out there, yeah, and then you're catch. Yeah, forget about it. No one cares about us traveling to watch finals and Stanley Cups and this and that.
Like, I don't feel bad for you. Don't take my interest as me feeling bad. I don't feel bad for you.
The 2-2-1-1-1 series is so much freaking better. The drama of switching cities back and forth is so good.
Yeah, and 3 in a row. That's like kind of a sneaky advantage. I feel like today.
I hate it.
It is
right.
It is. Because all you have to do is steal one on the road, and then you've got a chance to close it out at home.
You got 3 straight. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It should have been like that in 2010, damn it.
Guys, you got anything else?
Oh, it should be like this.
Wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. The Celtics played Jimmy's got something. What do you got?
No, I got nothing other than I got nothing. I was going to say just show up to work on a Friday night. That's all I was gonna say.
He does hate saying goodbye. He's like, let me ask you guys a question about the most hotly contested sports topic out there right now. We just go.
What do we think of Tatum? First team All NBA. Congrats.
I can't do this.
Hey,
if the Western Conference was more interesting, you'd be squeezing.
That's a huge accomplishment,
guys. I think it's our duty. I think it is we would be doing the show a disservice if we didn't just acknowledge the fact that Jason Tatum is a first team All NBA. Bobby, take it.
Great job, Tatum. Thanks for coming out. Good night.
You think of the way he started too. That was an incredible turnaround for him.
He did it.
I hate Jimmy. Okay.
Sherrod, by the way, I give you permission to leave anytime you want. You can just go. Just bye.
Yeah, Sherrod, we know you got places to be down there.
Yeah. We'll wrap it. We'll wrap it all together. So again, thank you guys for hanging out.
Sherrod's chilling tonight.
He's chilling.
Say what up to Gary for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gary's gonna be out late tonight.
Yeah.
Gary's gonna be out late tonight.
Who wants to keep talking, Bobby? You want to keep talking?
No, I got it in. I really did.
Got everything you need.
Friday.
That's it, guys. Friday, we're all geared up. All of these clowns will be down at the Garden.
Yes,
Larry Bird will be there. Yeah.
Come through.
Jimmy's going to a hard hat only wedding. Yeah.
That's all you'll see.
You got to bring that. You got to bring that with you.
I got to bring it. I know. I hope to God I don't forget it. It's probably the last thing I'm going to be thinking about packing to a wedding, but I hope to God I remember it.
Pack it now so you don't forget.
I know. I
can't forget.
I will.
He's like, no, I will. Okay.
I'm looking fresh. I'm going with the khaki suit. It's like outdoorsy summer wedding, so I got to bring it.
Nice.
Yeah, just so you guys know.
Good job, Jimmy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Baby blue vest?
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah,
send you guys pictures.
I love that. It's a union wedding. I like this.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
The steel worker that I know.
Good night. Jimmy's not going to let us go, so I'm going to say good night. Thank you guys for watching. We're back for Game 6, Boston on Friday, and we're going to wrap it up. We're heading to the finals. That's it. Bobby called it. Series over. Bucks in 6. Good night, all.